It's wonderful to see so many of you here turning up this evening, such vibrant faces. Some of you marketing pioneers, some of you brand storytellers, some of you innovators and industry leaders from some of the most exciting companies that we've seen, but most importantly, all of you here are creative minds that are shaping the digital landscape today. Good evening, everybody. My name is Shruti Guradia, and I cannot be more thrilled to host all of you this lovely evening and take all of you on this journey where we explore powerful brand journeys, groundbreaking insights, and of course, have a little bit of fun along the way. Ladies and gentlemen, I hope all of you had a chance to stop by our Quoraverse photo booth outside. We did see some beautiful pictures. Please don't be shy. We request you to please share them on your socials, and don't forget to use the hashtag E4M Quoraverse. That's E4M Quoraverse. All right, ladies and gentlemen, let's light up the room with your energy tonight. Before we dive into the proceedings for this evening, let's take a moment to celebrate the platform that has brought all of us together here, Quora. Headquartered in Mountain View, California, and founded in 2009, Quora was created with a very simple yet a very powerful idea, which is knowledge shared is knowledge multiplied. And at the heart of Quora, the mission is to grow world's collective intelligence. All right, ladies and gentlemen, what more could be relevant than this in today's AI-first world where learning, collaboration, human curiosity come together and shape the wave of creativity? With that, the theme for this evening today is leveraging AI, brand stories, and learning, which is inspired by how marketing, storytelling, and technology are all coming together, converging faster than ever before. We have 4 brilliant speakers today lined up, and these leaders are redefining what's possible in their industries. Each of them will share how their organizations are harnessing AI in authentic, imaginative, and in high-impact manner. Well, here's how the flow of the evening will go. We will begin with 2 very powerful keynote speakers. It will then be followed by an engaging interactive session because we're all here to interact, connect, and probably make some friends along the way. And we will then have 2 knowledge sessions here, which will then be followed by yet another fun interactive quiz, which will soon be showcased right here in front of you. You will know very soon what that's all about. And then we will bring on stage another very impactful speaker. And then we will have the most awaited moment, that is the E4M Quoraverse Awards ceremony. And then vote of thanks. And then we all will unwind together over drinks and dinner. Sounds good? Yes or no? I would need a louder yes if I need for all of you to begin this session with a high note of energy. So that's yes or no? Yes. A louder yes. Now that's my audience. All right, ladies and gentlemen, without further ado, I'd like to dive into what we are all here for. To set the tone for the evening, ladies and gentlemen, please join me in welcoming Mr. Gurmeet Singh, General Manager, APAC and MEA from Quora. I'll request all of you to please put your hands together. Give Mr. Gurmeet a loud round of applause, and I'd request him to address the lovely audience here and tell us what Quoraverse is all about.
First things first, a big thanks to all of you out here for taking out time and coming to Quoraverse. A big thanks to the speakers who've kind of agreed to kind of speak out here, and to the wonderful audience I'm seeing in this room. I would also like to thank our partners in this, which is E4M, Naval Ahuja, and the team out here, and Asha, who's out here. So big thank you to E4M. Why Quoraverse? So I'd like to spend a few minutes on that. So Quora, by now, Shruti has shared with us, we all know, was founded in 2009. So it's been 16 years of Quora. And Quora was founded in a very interesting way, in the sense it had machine learning from day one. So that's how the platform, doesn't have a .in or a .au or, depending on the country you are in. So it was having machine learning, which is like the basis of AI from like day one. So given the changes which are happening, given the development which are happening in AI, we thought, why not share this knowledge with all and also kind of get to learn with you. Like, the Quora's mission is, growing the world's collective intelligence. So Quoraverse is an event which takes place across 3 cities, which is Delhi, Mumbai, and of course, our Bengaluru. So the purpose of this event is that when we talk about AI, we are pretty much focused on the industries we are in. Suppose if we are in media, we are focused on media. If we are focused on, let's say, financials, then we are, talking about AI in the BFSI sector and all of that. So this is a good occasion where people across industries are going to speak, and we get to learn from them about their brand stories and some learnings that could be useful for us. We also use this occasion to learn about the Quora story, like how has Quora evolved from, let's say, 2009 to now. We all know that Quora has always been hugely SEO optimized. It would always, show up on top of the results when, you search on Google. But what's happening to Google and other search engines? They are becoming answering engines, and this is the world of ChatGPT, Gemini, and other bots. So how is Quora kind of, fitting in this scenario? We all know that when ChatGPT first happened, we all used to wonder as to where are they scraping all this kind of data from and all. And it's now, as things have developed and all, it's now pretty legal and clear. So we have like valid sources from where they get their information from. And we'll talk about later during the evening on, how Quora is feeding these LLMs. So that's the big change which is there. So how important is Quora therefore in this AI first world is something which I'll come back and talk to you about. But the big thing is, the big change is that from search engine optimization to, we were talking about with Aditi about generative AI engine optimization to answer engine optimization. So how does Quora fit into this world? As marketers, what do we need to do? I'll come back with that. But first, let's listen from the speakers about their brand stories. Thank you very much.
And thank you, Mr. Gurmeet, for that fascinating and perspective-shifting start for our lovely evening. With that, ladies and gentlemen, I would like to bring on stage our first speaker for today. Please put your hands together for Miss Aditi Oluman from Cash Free Payments. A loud round of applause for her, please.
Hi, good evening, everyone. Am I audible? Okay, great. So before I talk about our brand learnings that we have at Cash Free Payments, I want to ask a question. How many of us here, marketeers, are using AI in some way or the other? Okay, that looks like 100% to me, right? So I think we are at an age where I don't think AI is an option, right? AI is the reality. But how do we use it, right? There's also, there is this thought process that AI is also, overhyped in many ways, right? And, there's always also this fear that is AI going to take away our job. So there's so many thoughts that we as marketeers have today. So I think the right way to navigate through this is to understand what those guardrails are, what works, what doesn't, so that we can go from where we were, pre-AI era, to the post-AI era in a smooth way, as smooth as we can, right? So that's, I think, the goal. So with that, we'll jump into the presentation I have today, where I want to talk a little bit about how we are looking at teaching a brand to think, right? How at Cash Free Payments, us humans and AI co-create. So to get started, can we move to the first slide? Is there a clicker of some sorts? That'll be more helpful, yeah. Thank you. So I think this slide was just answered by everyone who was out there, right? So if we look at the usage of AI, I mean, there's hardly anyone who'd say they don't use AI. And this is global data, right? 93% of marketers say AI helps them create content better. And it's 93%. Of course, I'm assuming a lot of that is because of ChatGPT and the content that we I think ChatGPT now, right? For a lot of us, it is like an extension of our brains. But beyond that, a lot of them, 81% say it improves brand awareness and sales even, right? So which means it goes beyond just content and beyond just the very surface level LLM that we think of when we think generative today, right? And then of course the third piece, which is very important, is automation, right? How AI automation is making strides in various sectors, content delivery being one, where 80 to 85% of people say that they're able to deliver content much faster because of AI. But this is all global data. Let's jump into what does this really mean and where does the big value lie? Because we'll always talk about, okay, AI usage is everywhere, but where, according to me, what is my perspective of where the big value lies today, right? So 3 areas. Creative content production. Yes, it seems counterintuitive because when we think creative, how can we say that AI and creativity have to go, get along? But that is the space where the most amount of disruption is happening and the most amount of augmentation is happening. I'll talk about it more. Customer insights is the other one, and I'm sure that the lovely team at Quora will also talk more about that, right? So wherever there's wealth of information, how do you use AI to really create value there? And of course, third, the part that sounds boring, but that's actually the most powerful, is the operational efficiency side of AI, right? So these are the 3, I think, pillars that will really, really be the most important ones for us marketeers. Now jumping into how we at Cash-Free Payments, before we jump into that, what exactly is Cash-Free Payments? It's a payments company where anything payments that a business needs, we serve that, right? So which means we go from, an individual who might today want to start a business on Shopify or, just want to start an online business, all the way to, an IRCTC, a Swiggy of the world, right? Which means that as a team, as a marketing team, we have to look at the entire spectrum, right? From an individual to a large business, which makes it an interesting problem statement also from an AI perspective. But what I'm going to talk about is the element of AI in creative production, because that's the place where most of us think, is there really a role of AI? Where is the role? How do we make it work, right? So here I'm going to talk about one campaign that we ran recently, which was our fastest campaign ever, thanks to AI, right? If you could just run the video. So why did I run this campaign? Because this was one of those times when us as marketeers are generally just told, hey, you know what, this is really important. We need to go live in 3 days. What do we do? And there is no bandwidth. There's nothing on the table, right? The designers are freaking out. The brand team is freaking out. What do we do here, right? The time constraint. And I'm sure each one of us have faced that at some point in our lives, right? So in this case, we decided, hey, you know what? We don't have time, so we don't have an option. Why don't we just go all AI first, right? So the campaign had a 3-day turnaround because it was a reactive campaign and there was a deadline for why we were doing it. So from concept to execution, we turned this around in 3 days, all thanks to all of the AI tools that we were able to piece together, work together, and make it happen, right? It was the first time that we did a fully integrated AI campaign. What I mean by that is right from creative brainstorming, right? Right from what should we do, right from storyboarding, right? At that level also, we started using AI up to the level of production, right? By the time it hit the designer's desk, 80% of the work production-wise was done. And who did it? The performance and brand marketing team, right? Of course, along with designers sitting together. So this was one of those times which really made us realize that, oh, you know what, this can work, this can happen, right? And at the end of the day, of course, it's not 100% AI, right? It's an 80-20, right? 80% of the work was AI. There'll still be some things you'll have to do. You'll have to do the QC. You'll have to do the end. The last mile is still human. I don't think we've reached a level where If anybody tells you if something is 100% AI, don't believe it. It's never 100% AI, right? There's always some intervention needed, but how little and how less time you need to put in is the important part, right? So just like I said, even creative storyboarding, and this is an important piece. Why? Because creative storyboarding is something that often, us creative people think that storyboarding is all human. We can't, how can we have AI in storyboarding? Then what is left, basically, right? But what did AI help with? AI didn't necessarily help with the creative thinking. It helped us explore multiple narratives really fast. Right? So we actually took 4 different narratives. 4 people in the team went with 4 different narratives, quickly came up with something because they were leveraging AI tools, right? We used AI to prototype the scenes even, right? For example, you saw the whole astronaut theme, right? We could actually have never, if we were doing this in a manual setup with a 3-day deadline, we would have never thought of kind of, going with that theme, right? Because we would be we'd be very much involved in our own stylistic habits. We would think, okay, this is 3 days, let's just, see what is there and let's just go with that, right? So I think it really helped us break out of our own stylistic habits, and we were able to get to 80% of the outcome without manual design effort, right? So I think that, why I want to highlight that is because if you are not thinking AI at creative storyboarding, please do. Not for the creative part of it, but the time and the support part of it, right? How fast, how many different things can you do at the same time? This was one example. Now I want to go to the other side of content, which is not the creative side, but the automation side, right? There are certain content where, it's not about how creative it is. It's about how fast we are able to take something out, what kind of what kind of volumes that we can take to market, right? There also AI plays a very important role, right? So what we did, for example, was the whole space of video SEO. So for us as a payment player, SEO is super important. All the text SEO, whatever we can, we have done. Now we have moved on to video SEO. If someone's going on YouTube searching for a keyword, are we there, right? Are we ranking? Are we there in some shape or form talking about that problem statement, right? This is one problem statement where the faster you go, the more content you churn, the better. Because if there is one keyword, you want to have at least 3 to 4 videos that covers it. It's like a patent where you can't just do one patent. No, you need to do 5, 6 to make sure that you can protect that particular innovation. Keywords are also like that, as you guys are aware, right? So here, video SEO is the other use case where we saw a lot of impact and a lot of benefit of leveraging AI. Here, can we play this another video here? Can we play that video? I'm not sure if it's... Can you click it? It'll play. Otherwise, it's okay if it's not playing. Okay. So this was just an example of what we wanted to show. So what we did was we experimented with avatars, right? All of you would have heard of HeyGen, right? HeyGen is one of those platforms where you can actually either use custom avatars or you can use off-the-shelf avatars. So we experimented with actually doing full-fledged videos where it's completely AI, right? So the person talking, you just feed in the script, you decide what kind of, let's say, voice you want to use, and you can create a full-fledged video. Again, not 100%, because you will still, for example, things like add payment gateway for Shopify store, that part has to be added later, right? There's some automation, but it's never 100%. But what it does is it really makes production faster, right? In the beginning, we were able to make 1 video a week. We were able to make it 5x. So we were churning out 5 videos per week, right? We were able to use reusable AI avatars. For once, it takes a little bit of effort. You get an avatar created. Here, what you see here is one of our product marketeers, right? This guy is one of our product marketeers, but this video is completely AI. What we did is we took him to a studio, got a very good custom avatar created, one-time effort, some cost, but after that, perpetual use, right? You can perpetually use that. So this is something which we found to be super useful for high volume use cases, right? High volume content. And as a result, we were able to rank pretty quickly. Our keyword rankings went through the roof. We were able to improve brand search even, because more people who were searching for us could see cash free when they were searching. So this was one of those use cases where we realized, hey, you know what? Yeah, content automation works. Again, 80-20, but it still really helps you get there faster, right? But what are those things that don't work? Because people will always tell you everything's great, just go do AI. But what doesn't work? First of all, again, I don't think this video will play, but I would have loved to show the video. So here the video is of, not a custom avatar. This was a off-the-rack avatar. So you have an option on HeyGen, etc., where you can take an off-the-rack avatar, right? Take a good-looking guy or a girl and let them talk, right? But what we saw is that whenever we would put generic avatars, people would figure out, right? And there would be a trust and emotional connect erosion. For example, you can see there somebody wrote, "Oh, the model is AI. Ha ha ha. Don't share your data." Right? So that's it. Like the moment somebody sees that, it's a break of trust and emotional connect, right? And there is also this sometimes that something feels off. You know that, right? When you see some AI video, you still feel that, is this AI? It looks a little AI. So that still remains. And it is even more, pronounced in generic avatars. Why? Because generic avatars are trained on a lot of different data and sort of, as a result, you end up seeing something which feels off, right? Which is why QC becomes super, super, super important. I think QC becomes more important in AI content than in manual content. Because in manual content, you can still trust that, the content creator, the content team, the design team would have subconsciously at least, made sure nothing is wrong. But in AI, it could hallucinate, completely go bonkers, right? So QC, so the other big learning for us is that QC becomes more important. So, you save a lot of time, but you definitely have to do much, much more stringent QC when you're using AI for creative or content creation, right? Then moving on to what is what is this simple AI framework that one can follow, right? This is what I sort of actually got as a learning from another CMO in one of the conversations, and I absolutely loved it, and I follow that, right? So looks a bit noisy, but I'll walk you through what it means, right? So if you see there's an x-axis and a y-axis, the x-axis is for frequency, and the y-axis is for creativity, right? So what I mean is frequency, how many times in a year do you have to do something, or how many times in a month do you have to do something? Creativity is how complex is the creative aspect of it, right? For example, I showed you the first and the second. In the second one, creativity is low. It's an SEO video, right? In the first one, creativity is slightly higher because you can't just put generic stuff. It has to align to what your brand wants to talk about, right? So in this, in this axis, if you look at x-axis, so basically the first one, which is marketing ops, right? Here you have low creativity, low frequency, right? And the next one is performance marketing. These are examples. So a marketing ops engine revamp is, let's say, you have decided that I want to shift my entire marketing ops to some other tool, right? So this is one of those places where AI can be an owner, because AI can play a very important role. With tools like NA10, etc., there's a lot of things you can do which you can just, dump it on AI and they'll do a great job of it, right? Same applies with, things where frequency is high and creativity is low, right? So think like this. If something you have to keep doing a lot of times, not very complex, definitely give it to AI. If you're not giving it today, tomorrow you will be left behind, right? So just give it to AI. Figure it out, give it to AI, right? But what should you give last to AI? Look at the other sides of the quadrant, right? So a brand refresh, for example, you're doing a brand refresh. It is a big thing. It is your identity of your brand, right? So it is strategic. It is very infrequent. You'll probably do it once in a few years or once a year or something, right? There, AI can only play the role of an enabler. Don't give that up to AI, because then who are you as a brand, right? What is your identity? So there, AI should be an enabler. Same applies with marketing campaigns. AI role is enabler. AI, for example, the first example I showed, AI was an enabler. It did not own what I should do, right? So as long as you can keep this simple framework, whatever is high frequency, low creativity, definitely give to AI. Whatever is low frequency, very high creativity, don't give it to AI yet. Only use the role as an enabler, right? Then I know my time is up, so I'll just two more things I wanted to talk about. One is, what is my AI basket day to day? Most of these tools I think all of us use, but just to reiterate, it is all of those small tools that together, come together and really help our jobs, make our jobs easier, right? Happy to talk in more details offline if everyone wants to, but this is my basket, my AI basket, right, that I use with my team. Last but not the least, what are those guardrails? In the beginning of the talk, I spoke about we need some guardrails, right? As we jump into the AI rabbit hole as marketeers. So what are my guardrails? First of all, don't outsource thinking. I think we often end up being in that zone where a problem statement is asked. We first, even the thinking part, we give it to AI. Okay, you tell us, I don't want to think. I think you shouldn't outsource thinking. What you should outsource is the time it takes to think. Time it takes for us to come to like, some very good quality output, right? That's number one. Number two is very important again. AI helps you build a creative engine. Don't make it a content factory. Very soon, otherwise you'll lose that focus. You'll just keep churning out content, no heart to it, which is, not something that you want to do as a brand, right? Third of all, and this, what I mean by this is you have to codify your brand before you scale your content. What do I mean? If you give everything to AI and say just do it, very soon your brand tone, your brand language, what you want your brand to look and feel will just start getting commoditized. So codify it before you scale it, right? And last but not the least, you have to shift from campaign cycles to an always on mode. That's one benefit that AI gives you. You don't have to, because it's so fast, everything's so fast, you don't need to go from campaign to campaign. Just make it an always on, right? So those were my, my guardrails. I hope that also helps each of you think in your day to day. Thank you very much. It was great speaking today, and happy to speak offline as well. Thanks.
Thank you. And now that brings me to introducing to all of you our next speaker for today. We have with us, with of course your loud round of applause, let's welcome her on stage, Ms. Neha Bagaria from Herky.
Hi everyone, it's a pleasure to be here, and it's great to see a room full despite that Bangalore traffic outside that we've all had to labor through. So I'm here to tell you about AI and marketing from a very different angle, and which is about how do we really leverage AI and marketing to women. And I know that, for example, a lot of companies over here would have women as a pre-primary target market. I thought it'd be interesting to see also the kind of changes that are happening in the women's space and how that can be leveraged in this AI world. So let's get started. So first and foremost, just from a macroeconomic point of view, if you really look at what's happening in the women's economy, I mean, worldwide, that's changing drastically, right? Today, women control 30% of global wealth. It's supposed to go up to 50% in the next 5 years. In India also, 10 years ago, we had only 20% women in the labor force. That has now become 37% in 2024. And the government has a stated goal to be at 50% by 2030. The reason why this is important for marketeers is because of the kind of purchase decision powers that puts in the purses of women. And that's why if you really look at this untapped market of her, first and foremost, of course, women is an untapped market because they are great candidates for companies where women can join them as starters, restarters, risers. But of course, to this room full of marketers, women are great because they form a huge consumer base. And especially because most of caregiving responsibilities actually fall on women's shoulders. So their needs as mothers, caregivers, house owners becomes very, very important. And also very important is women themselves are the creators. And that's why when you're looking at influencers, entrepreneurs, leaders, how can we target women to be able to have that kind of influence on other women that we are looking at? And this makes it a fantastic opportunity for businesses to leverage, right? Of course, businesses need to leverage it from an employer-based point of view. But over here, even when you look at how do you create that kind of sense of being experts, subject market experts for those women become very important. And also if you think about it from a creator economy, which is the kind of product solutions offering when you want to provide that to women, how do you incorporate them as the influencers for it? And so if you look at the way we kind of find different platforms to target women, currently, you will either look at platforms which talk to women from a work language, right? Which will be your LinkedIn, Naukri, Indeed. Or then you will look at your big giants, which are your Facebook, YouTube, Insta. Now, the problem is that when it comes to Facebook, YouTube, Insta, and we are all, party of it, when we look at targeting women, we usually look at either talking to them about lifestyle or e-commerce. We forget that there is this aspirational Indian woman that is really coming up right now, who is actually looking at it as her work-life journey and how your brand fits into that aspiration of hers. And that's why what we've actually realized is that it's extremely important to engage women through different formats. So for example, looking at different sessions where you actually have your leaders talking to them maybe looking at different opportunities for them, or looking at your experts coming and telling them about how they can make this work-life journey better through particular skills or particular learnings, or of course looking at actually networking with them, engaging with them either through online channels or also through offline meetups like this, through focus groups, through discussions, so that you can actually have a very human touch point with your brand and the women. Now, of course, for example, over here, the scaling of it is extremely important. Today, of course, Herky serves 5 million women and 2 lakh business users. But what's important is how do we engage them? And that's why something like sessions becomes a very good viewpoint through which you can engage them. But let's now talk a little bit about AI and the kind of role that AI can play in scaling this content and community to women. First and foremost, and of course the speaker before me spoke a lot about Gen AI, and it is incredible what we can do in the Gen AI world. Frankly, if we can train Gen AI into our particular target audiences, then this engagement that we want to do with women suddenly becomes scalable. Today we feel that, hey, how many such sessions will we be able to host to women? It's much easier to put up banners and then let them click on it and, look at whether we've got enough impressions or clicks. But in the new Gen AI world, it's so easy to be able to create engaging sessions, and then which comes to the agentic AI of even creating AI agents that are actually representing your company in engaging with the women. Yeah, and training those AI agents to speak the right language for the aspirational Indian woman, whether it could be about being a particular subject matter expert or being a listening ear or a companion for that woman. The third, of course, is data. Because if we really leverage AI out there, the kind of data loops that you can create, becomes a virtuous cycle, right? Because the more you use AI to get the data, the more that data can be used to make your AI better to be able to get your conversions. And of course, fourth, when it comes to the women's space, I can't leave talking about AI without mentioning responsible AI. And I think even from a marketing point of view, it's very important that we look at actually leveraging these tools very, very responsibly, because of course we are actually holding brands in our hands. And that's why if you really think about the kind of detailed data that we can get about our users, right? Like for example, of course you have your geographies and you have your age groups, but now more than that, you'll be able to get their aspirations, you'll be able to get their sentiment, you'll be able to get what are their main drivers that are driving them. And that's why if we look at really what is coming up in the future, sky's the limit. When we talk about Gen AI, in fact, the speaker before me showed about how she pulled out a product manager and got him into a green room and created his AI agent. Think about if we can do that with influencers, right? And with every influencer, instead of buying that influencer's time, if we can just buy the AI avatar of that influencer and then use that to represent your brand. Also, think about how we can use Gen AI from an omni-channel point of view, right? Like if we are sitting over here today and interacting physically, but of course all those people who got scared of Bangalore traffic and did not make it here physically, how can we really engage with them in such a seamless way that it feels that they were right here with us, right? And then when it comes to AI agents, of course, AI agents can be used for a lot of recorded videos, but the true power of AI comes when they are live and interactive and can actually almost seem human-like to the user. In fact, the true answer will come when when you will ask your people to be able to be as good as the AI agent in terms of how well they'll be able to answer to the user, how well they'll be able to be available to that user. Third, of course, is when it comes to predictive AI. Again, we are right now at the tip of the iceberg when it comes to the kind of data and what we can do with that data. Over here, I mean, when we look at, say, keywords that they're searching for, instead, if you think about listening tools and you start looking at keywords from what they are speaking, what they're discussing, soon it will be keywords from what they are thinking and what they are dreaming. And that's why as marketeers, we constantly have to be thinking about what next is going to come up in the world of data that we'll be able to leverage using AI for our brands. And of course, while we do it, we always have to make sure that we do it responsibly. Because in our hands, when we are sitting with that kind of data, if we don't do it responsibly, of course, trust is going to soon become a big barrier. And once trust is broken, it's obviously a problem for the future. But more than that, there is, with this kind of data, the kind of security risks that come up are also huge. And that's why making sure that we're actually putting the right guardrails in place and the kind of cyber security that is required to protect that data also becomes important. And with that, I'd of course be around if anybody has any questions on how we're going deeper in a particular area when it comes to AI and marketing. We'd be happy to answer it then. Thank you.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, now that we've got our brains warmed up, let's get the rest of us moving. I have a fun activity up next to take a quiet break from the sessions that we have and bring in some fun factor here. And this is called the Knowledge Connector. Of course, we're here to connect with people, to understand better what our peers are doing, what everybody else in the industry is doing as well. So that's why my next segment is called the Knowledge Connector. Very simple, we're 50-odd people here. Half of you would get these red bookmarks and the other half will get the white. Now, what do you think these red and white mean? Very simple. The red bookmarks are questions and white bookmarks are answers. They're going to be jumbled, of course. All you have to do is find your perfect match. You have the questions and somewhere in the room lies your answer in somebody else's hand. Isn't this fun? It's going to let you connect. All you have to do are two things. Kindly get up from your seats and move around. And second is find that perfect match. So don't be shy. All I would request you to do is get up, get moving, and find a perfect match. We will set the timer for you. Let's have these bookmarks firstly circulated everywhere. Everybody gets one each. It could be white, it could be red, which means it could be a question, it could be an answer. Now, I don't know how you're going to find your perfect match, but all I would request you to do is not be shy. You're going to move around, you're going to talk to people, you're going to ask questions, you're going to give them their answers maybe. Okay? Are we done? Does everybody else in the back have their bookmarks? No? Okay. Quick. Let's get going. Oh, how could we miss this table? Come on. I'm going to add a third factor here. You will have to bring in some energy, okay? You can't just be sitting and be lousy on your seats. You'll have to bring in some energy, get that brain working, get those feet working, and find your partners. All right. Quickly, can we have some bookmarks here, please? Everybody's on their feet already. I love this energy in this room. A few bookmarks here, please. Your time starts now. Keep moving, keep asking questions. Don't be shy. And if you found your pair, stay together if you've already found your pair. We have a photo booth outside. The next step to do is move outside together and get a picture together with your bookmark. You know, the tip is to see if these two... Yeah, great. That was quick. If you found your pair, please move outside. We have a Quora photo booth. Pose with your question and your answer. Get a picture and come back inside quickly. In case you haven't found, I have a quick tip. A quick tip for those of you who haven't found your partner. Behind your bookmark, there's a small number. Example, A1 will match with A2, A10 will match with Q10. There are numbers behind the bookmark. 19. Sir's looking for 19. Answer? Is that your answer or question, sir? Question 20? Question 23. 23. I found your match. Aditi's found a match. A Q9. Okay. Who's A9? If you have an answer, if it's short, shout your answer so your question can find you, or vice versa. Q8. What fruit is best for texting? I'm so sorry. Who do you think has the answer for this? Question number 8. 18. Oh, see? Q15. What's an example of user-generated content? Is the question. Does anybody knew the answer? No. Look, there's your answer. Match the numbers and see if that's your right match. A10. Let me help you with. Oh, you've matched? Okay. So then you walk out to the photo booth, get a nice picture with both your bookmarks, okay? The question and the answer, and come back inside. A12. Answer is green. Does anybody's question? Whose answer is green? There's your match. You found your match? Then please proceed outside. Get a beautiful picture clicked with both your bookmarks, the question and the answer, and come back right in and join me once again. Of course, your loud round of applause. Let's invite on stage Miss Rasika Prashant from Soulful, Tata Consumer Soulful Private Limited. A loud round of applause, please, for her. Miss Rasika Prashant, over to you.
Good evening, everybody. I'm sure it's not the most interesting topic to be talking about ancient grains and AI, but I'll try to keep it as interesting on a Friday evening. Yeah, I'm going to stand here. I'm going to ditch the mic. So before we get to AI, I thought let me just tell you a little bit about what do we do. So why it's interesting, right? Because we as brands, when we're trying to make ourselves extremely relevant, there is something that we consciously enjoy, which is not called FOMO, but it's called curiosity. And the passion and curiosity is what keeps us active. And that's one of the things that made us launch Soulful 12 years ago. And now we are Tata Soulful. What is Tata Soulful? Tata Soulful is where we make ancient grains relevant. We bring these grains, we make them for the modern urban consumer in formats that the consumer likes it. And we've revived these grains into formats like breakfast cereal, snacks for kids, young adults, and our relevant TG. Moving on to the next slide. Is there a ticker? Is there a ticker? Okay. Okay. Yeah. So quickly, like I told you, we revived the power of ancient grains in a modern format. And why is this very important? Because that's what we started off with. And we realized that in today's, for today's TG, especially when you're talking to the urban consumer, what's extremely relevant is to modify yourself and create something which the consumer wants. And what is the reason for that? Because like we always say, we started off this journey 12 years ago. And at that point in time, we realized that it was important to change the way India ate. And the reason for the same was because of the climatic changes that we were going to go through. We are a country of where the three most important things for us is roti, kapda, and makan. And if we did not bring about that change, then it would not result in how we would be combating things in a 70% agrarian economy. Now, you must be wondering, and that was a big change, right? Why was it important? Because just some trivia, when we launched Tata Soulful in 2014, at that point in time, India was still layering itself on very ancient, on staple grains like rice and wheat. And both rice and wheat were grains that came in the forefront because of the Green Revolution. But at that point in time, it was about hunger satisfaction. And today, it is about nutrition satisfaction. We were foreseeing this 14 years ago because we knew for a 70% agrarian economy, if we did not make a difference in the way India ate, we would be suffering grossly today. I'm just going to give you a quick fun fact. The grains that we use are millets. They're ragi, jawar, bajra. And why was it extremely important? Because 1 kg of rice, which most of us consume, requires 4,000 liters of water from the ground. Today in Bangalore, we've run out of groundwater. All of India, we don't have groundwater. While 1 kg of ragi, which you eat over a period of 3 or 4 days, which is complex carbs, extremely healthy, requires only 400 liters of water from the sky. So it was very important for us to bring about this change because all the noise that you hear around on climatic changes, the pollution that you see in Delhi, all of this is because we are still anchored on the changes we brought about in the Green Revolution. It was very important to slowly bring about the change in the way we ate for today's urban consumer. While we did all of that, what we did was we just brought this ragi to the table and we said, why don't we package it and make it more interesting for you? The two consumer groups that we spoke to were kids and young adults. Why did we speak to kids and young adults? Both of these TGs are extremely captive to change and they want the best for themselves. Again, these are two TG groups who also ride on trends, who are very, very informed, who understand what's good for them. So while we decided to target them, it was very key for us to be ahead of the times and to make sure that we innovate ourselves as this TG innovates itself. But while you do all of this, and while you make sure that you're riding on trends, you're bringing about a change, you're trying to lure a consumer, and you're changing at grassroots, was extremely important to have a few pillars. And I'm going to say this to you, because while we talk about AI trends, while we talk about, how do you leverage AI, how do you make a change, how do you bring about different, habit changes in the consumer or how you target the consumer, what we need to understand is that consumer is very used to monotony. And you have to figure a way what are your strong fundamentals that you're going to bring about irrespective of what you do in order to mediate the same. So the few fundamentals that we started off with and we stick to even today is all our products have less fat, they're healthy and safe for kids, they're rooted in ancient grains, they're great taste and affordable pricing, they have millets, which are immunity boosting, and they have no nasties. And if you read each of these have been relevant for the last 14 years and it hasn't changed. While we talk ourselves as a country who's developing very quickly, what we need to understand that we are also talking to a consumer who is only beginning to ride the wave of health. So what was important while we do that is we have high quality products, but we make them look sexy. We make them look fun. It was not about making health look scary. It was making health look fun and accessible. So we had to move away from a white and green packaging to boring nomenclature to making products look healthy. And most importantly, have benefits that they could pronounce and they could understand, and we could anchor ourselves across the portfolio for the number of years that we've been there. But what's most important, we are a country who anchors ourselves around food. Every occasion, every family gathering is all about food. We are not a nation who's going to eat cardboard just because it's healthy. We are a taste-first, health-forward nation. And hence, it was very, very critical for us to make sure that we innovated ourselves and brought about taglines which this consumer understood. Now, why am I telling you about all these things, right? You could be rooted in the most boring ancient grains. You could be rooted in the most you could be doing things which is backward integrating with farmers. But if you want to create consumer demand, and if you want to really make a difference, it's about how you lure that consumer and answer that one question that consumer asks you. It's like, isme mere liye kya hai? Right? And that's what matters. It's not that mere paas ye hai aur aap change kar lijiye. So hence, we were talking to kids, it was about talking to them about what the schools then said and what was trending, which was no junk, all crunch. All kids today, when they go to school, their teachers will tell them to not bring junk to school. And that was important for us to piggyback on those search keywords, which the kids understood. When we spoke about a category like masala oats, though we put millets in it, it was a 300 crore category. But what we had to understand was the salient market was Uttar Pradesh. Now, in a market like UP, if you're taking masala oats, I cannot say better crunch, wholesome munch. That consumer is not going to understand that. But I need to play on that consumer insight, what the key market leader is lacking on, and make sure that I bring about a product which is layered with key consumer insight, which is the competitor had a sticky product, we had a non-sticky product. It had to be taste forward, so hence it was non-sticky must, taste zabardast. When you take lines like this on HSM media, when you layer it on digital, when you hyper-local target, you have the right kind of communication, and then you layer yourself further with digital antiques, and you're able to optimize your campaigns to take it to the consumer. And while we do all of that, it's also important to create a lot of brand love and to bring that consumer into the franchise by, socializing with them, understanding what they need. So whether it was putting games on the back of the pack, whether it was creating interactive mediums at that point in time, to what we pivoted to, which I'll talk to you about, or making your grains look nice, sexy, and simple, We did all of that, and we kept ourselves extremely relevant. To these two consumer groups, what mattered was not only the way our packs looked, not only the standardized architecture that we brought about, but to even bring nuances like a mascot, which we kept relevant across our communication for the last 10 years, but also to show the right TG and to play on that fine line to that young adult consumer, because that young adult consumer was now moving to aspiration. So how did you play with them with the right kind of proposition, layering on the trends that they picked up, going wherever they went, sampling to them, and also understanding that you are, also kind of making it relevant to them that we are talking to a consumer, we understand their space, we understand their discomfort. So it was all about making millets cool. And that's when AI came into the foray. When we realized a couple of years ago how we can pivot ourselves and how can we fight the big boys. When you see campaigns with large brands, where what you see that they lack is the turnaround time, the ability to do moment marketing, the ability to bring the trends on, to create excitement and to create brand love. And that purely came from a place because it takes a lot of time to do that kind of turnaround, and it's also extremely expensive. We realized with the usage of AI was not there to beat us, it was actually there to partner us. We changed all our communication, and we made sure that every single communication that we put on social media was all AI powered. We understood the trends which were out there. We could not pay publishers in order to get ourselves listed to do seeding, but we realized when we wrote the trends and we did it consistently, we got organically published on pages because they started recognizing us as a strong, as a brand which had a front foray in digital. And it was just the advent of digital becoming a strong medium for advertising. With now, what's happening in the market as we all speak in the agency circle, that today it's not TV, it's become digital all the way. So we decided to build a very strong digital footprint for Tata Soulful. And this is a journey that we set on to 2 years ago. I'm only going to cover this quickly so that how this initiation or this marketing call that we took today has made us the second most strongest FMCG brand on digital. It was not the monies that we spent, it's not the dollars that we spent, but it was just about keeping ourselves extremely with time, putting out the right communication, targeting the right TG, and making it hyper-local. Now, all of this would not have been possible without the usage of AI. I'm just going to quickly tell you what we did, and I'll tell you how AI powered it for us. We grew our Instagram community from starting of this year in May. We had around 28,000 followers. As I speak, we're at 89,000 followers. Our kids' digital playbook was powered by AI. You could not target kids on digital. So even today, if you go to YouTube, you cannot target kids on digital because it's not allowed. We tried to combat that. We used cohorting through using AI, and we understood what were the other places that kids could be targeted. We were able to create customized content for various gaming platforms, which would not have been possible, with the time and turnaround that large agencies would ask us for. And at the same time, we could not have kept it as contextual because the TAT would have been very, very slow. We did hyper-local precision. We understood, we did pactification. So we sell close to, if I have to talk about the snacking category, which is ₹10, we sell around 2 crore packs in the market. We used our packs to collect FPD data. We created a backend PI pool, and we used that to understand which were the pin codes where the consumers were shopping the most. Using AI, once we ran a digital campaign, we then powered that consumer by understanding where they go because we understood their journey and the pin codes. And then we mapped which were the stores that they shopped at, and we showed them contextual campaigns and discounts, which was not something that FMCG brands did. This was a very lifestyle thing. If you had a garment store or a jewelry store close to your house and you went to a cinema hall, they would show you an ad. It was as simple as that. But trying to understand that consumer's journey of which Reliance store have they gone into, what is the exposure of the creative that they will see, taking a digital user journey offline by actually targeting that consumer through multiple targeted frequency campaigns and hyper-local targeting, we were able to generate very high ROAS but at the same time, we're able to measure it with direct sales by partnering with offline modern trade accounts like Reliance. While we could do this with the quick commerce universe, but at a 55% visibility cost, it could never be a profitable channel for us. So how did we make our strength of modern trade and GT profitable for us? Because only we could do it. Because we had the agility of Soulful, but we also had the might of around 20 lakh stores that Tata Consumer had. So we used that to our advantage, and we drove that. Along with that, for us, our biggest, a lot of times we're all talking to our consumers. But when you work for a large conglomerate like Tata, you realize that you have only that much time to get mind measure of that sales guy. He is used to selling chai and namak. And that is what gets him his sales incentives every month. Now, if you want to get top of mind with him, you can throw as much money on the table, but he's not going to get convinced. So we did a very interesting thing, which I will talk to you about. We powered AI and got a photograph for him, for his entire family. And I'll talk to you a little bit more about it, but we powered our sales teams with excitement using AI, and we got top of mind with them, which took our market share by almost, so we launched Nomada Rusk in the Central, which is UP and MP in the month of September. We ran a digital campaign for 2 months. We realized that while we ran the digital campaign and got our mind measures, our sales team was not getting powered. Usually in a large FMCG brand, it takes around 1.5 years for a new product launch to get 1% market share. We utilized AI. We took our ambassador, Manoj Bajpayee. We excited the sales guy. Our sales tripled. And today we are at a 1% market share within 1 year of launch in Rusk in UP and Central Market. And of course, our awards that we won for all of these digital experimentations were a validation that we were doing the right thing. Why does AI matter for brands? So this was just a quick snapshot of how a brand which went on to revive the ancient grains, targeted the right TG, we layered onto the trends, we used our monies wisely, we drove the ROI in HSM markets with media which was digital. We got a higher reach and frequency through digital, both in East as well as UP, which is unheard of. You couldn't do it without TV. And that's how we did that journey. But just to let you know what was the reason we felt that today AI matters for brands. Very simple. AI makes sure that creativity never sleeps. And like I said, it's not about the FOMO when you see somebody do well. It's about how curious you are to step ahead and to come across as a very, very strong new age adopter. Personalization at scale. I'll show you a quick example of how we did it, but AI helps you personalize not only to build D2C cohorts, to drive better CACs, to do better ROAS, in spite of having a 750 AOV, where D2C was tanking last year for us, because we knew that you had the boats and the white goods of the world at 1,500 AOV, obviously able to combat the 350 rupees CAC, but just by using AI and personalization, we were able to create lookalike campaigns, which brought down our CAC significantly. Media that optimizes itself. Again, utilizing cohort that's created from AI helps you optimize your campaigns and deliver better results. Conversations that convert. We managed to empower our CRM executives who would talk to the consumers regularly, who would write back to them with information which was a lot more evolved. We did not have to put human behind it. We empowered each of these CRM execs to talk to the consumer, to give them information every time we launched an NPD, and to be able to remarket to the existing cohort who bought Soulful products, and to increase their knowledge and make them feel more robust with respect to millets. And most importantly, I think the best thing that AI did for us was all of the work that you did over a period of time. It's such a fast learner that you automatically optimized and delivered better results because your prompt or your inputs were very strong. And where did our AI journey begin? So we realized that if we had to bring on AI for an FMCG brand, so just to give you all a quick synopsis, right? Say 60% of our landscape as a channel is GT. Okay, 20% is e-com, and balance like 20-25% if GT fluctuates is modern trade. GT is the most profitable channel. So it's not that we sell products in the price range of ₹5 to maybe 349 rupees. In GT, our magic price points are 5, 10 and 15. So you're not talking to a new age, garment brand, or you're not talking to like a pair of headphones which cost 1,800 rupees. You're trying to make a difference at grassroots. You're trying to digitally connect that consumer to be able to collect data. So it's very different. So we realized that if we wanted to start the journey, it was important for us to target all these areas. I've just put this out here because these are usually in your A&P stack up the most cost-consuming line items. So we picked that up from our A&P. So we do an A&P stack up every year. So we said, let's look at all those which we need to rationalize. And we said, let's tackle it one by one. We said, we don't know how we will do it, but we said, let's build that in together. Whether it was media and targeting, whether it was our D2C experience, whether it was internal efficiencies. Cost optimization is a very important part of our journey. So if we are looking at increasing our revenue by around 70 to 80% year on year because we are fast growth brands, it's extremely critical for us to do a cost optimization. Usually we are dependent on our procurement teams. So I'll give you a quick example, right? So if there is a product like no maida rusk, my lead competitor is Britannia. Now Britannia is putting 60% maida. I have replaced it with millets. There is a lot of inertia with your procurement team to say that, oh, I'm not going to be able to bring. Now the consumer wants it at a price parity. They are not going to be ready to pay 2x the money. Because like I said, the landscape is GT and that's where the real India belongs. So how do you now, how do you combat that with your procurement team? We managed to get data of every month mandi prices, or what the cost of sugar, what the cost of wheat was, how could we get better conversion costs, all just using very, very well-engineered AI. And the more data we kept feeding in, we even got push notifications that we set out, which would deliver reports to us on a monthly basis as to how the commodity market was fluctuating. It made us a lot more independent. We were able to launch NPDs at a much faster rate, and we were also able to do a very, very efficient cost optimization for our existing portfolios. We added 20% last year purely on gross margin by just doing efficiency building in an inflationary environment before the GST change happened, only by using intelligence. So it was not only, so AI was not used just to build creatives. AI was not used just to build content. AI was not just used to make campaigns. AI was utilized to empower our brand managers so that they took high accountability and ownership for the delivery of our business. And hence business intelligence and creative automation. So I'm just, okay, while all of that was a little bit serious, I'm just going to take you through a couple of fun examples that will tell you how, we elevated our brand presence using AI. Like I told you, we have a mascot called Cruncha Mancha. He's been our mascot for the kids portfolio. We used to see a lot of inertia with so every time we had to make a contextual post or we had to do a kids event, we would spend close to 50,000-60,000 rupees just creating 3D avatars of him. Once we started feeding and training AI, today, at absolute zero cost, we are able to create posts, which is for different occasions. If you have to send birthday cards to kids, if you are putting if you're putting creative POSM for events, or even if you're creating retail POSMs. So it's completely taken away the cost of any creative or art development we did with this character. We also created molds, which we usually put consumer, promo, and merchandise. So for a category like ours, back to school, which is June, July, August, is a very key time. Till last year, we would ride on a lot of licenses, whether it was Doraemon or whether it was Chiku Bunty, and that would cost us a significant amount of money. And the only reason for that was if we had to make our own promo material, it would cost us a lot just for the prototyping. This year, we just finished our AOP working for next year, and we have designed very, very interesting avatars of our mascot. We have partnered with a company in China, where now we can make multiple prototypes of this because the entire designing is happening at our back end with just 3 graphic designers in-house, and we're able to bring the cost down significantly, which not only helps us increase the brand love on Tata Soulful, but now make that mascot famous and create more brand love through that mascot itself. Like I said, our performance creatives, where we used to pay a retainer of 2 lakh every month to an agency, because we needed a whole host of performance creatives. Now all of that happens in-house because we're able to A/B test those creatives, we're able to make multiple creatives, and we don't even need designers. Our digital marketing team does it themselves. So we're able to actually put creatives into journeys, layer cohorts onto them, and understand that how these creatives are going to result in better ROIs. So yeah, so just a quick example of what we were telling you. So we bought Manoj Bajpayee for our Rusk campaign. So we launched No Maida Rusk. We wanted to take it to the market quickly from a communication point of view. And we had to, if we had to convince the consumer that हमारे रस में मैदा है, आपके रस में मैदा है, हमारे रस में नहीं. We needed a strong voice who was salient across the salient geographies. So we brought Manoj Bajpayee, we created a campaign. The campaign did really well. But we started realizing that we're not moving the needle on market share. Because while we're able to do that first sell-in, we're not able to see repeat. And the challenge for the repeat was the mind share of that sales guy. The DSR, which is the distributor sales representative, who's that last mile delivery guy. So we said, what do we do? We went to market, we spoke to them, and they said, Madam, ये Manoj Bajpayee सब तो ठीक है, वो तो hero है, लेकिन हमको इसमें क्या मिलता है? What we quickly did was, we took one of the, we had a video which we had shot with him on Chroma. We built an AI-powered WhatsApp bot. We had only 1 month because we would lose season. So usually the month of December, Jan, Feb is season for Rusk. Why? Because that is the season people drink tea. And chai ke saath to ras banti hai. So that is your peak season when people drink garam tea. And we also knew Kumbh was coming in. So if we had not managed to power this guy up, we would not be able to tackle or bump up our sales during Kumbh Mela. So we said, okay, we created an AI-powered chatbot and we delivered customized videos. So what we did was we made a group across sales and distributors across the country. We created a pilot campaign just for UP and MP because we wanted to test it out there so that we could take it for Kumbh and then replicate it everywhere else. Where if you put out a message saying, my name is so-and-so, Manoj Bajpayee would say, Sharma ji, क्या आप मेरे साथ चाय पीना चाहते हैं? For that sales guy, it was a big moment. So if he would say, हाँ मैं आपके साथ चाय पीना चाहता हूँ, the Manoj Bajpayee से सिर्फ अपनी एक selfie भेज दीजिए और हम आपके साथ चाय पी लेंगे. He would send a selfie. Within 10 seconds, AI would generate an exact replica photograph of him and Manoj Bajpayee sitting in Buckingham Palace and drinking tea. We started seeing them sending us photographs of their wife, of their kids, of their mom, of their dad. And where we had started, so usually, so we had hit around, we had a UOB of around 20,000, like we had built around 20,000 outlets in Central alone. Just after this campaign, we ended that month with 80,000 outlet billing in Central. It just created that much excitement in the system. It was just a simple powering of taking this guy, creating something with AI and putting it out there. I'm just going to show you a quick video.
अरे अजित जी बहुत अच्छा भाई आपसे मिलके
वॉल्यूम नहीं है
ये रस के शौकीन है चलिए बढ़िया है आज दो दोस्त साथ मिलकर बतियाएंगे और मजे से खाएंगे ठीक बात
है
अरे अभिजीत जी बहुत अच्छा लगा भाई आपसे मिलके लगता है आप भी ये रस के शौकीन हैं चलिए बढ़िया है आज दो दोस्त साथ मिलकर बतियाएंगे और मजे से खाएंगे ठीक बात
We have a sales team of 500 people, that is from an ASM to an RSM to a DSR in UP and MP. We had 400 plus participants, unique participants. We had 1,000 plus AI generated videos. We had 4,200 personalized messages. And we received free coverage in PR because this was the first time a sales guy went to a PR agency and said, "Humne itna acha kaam kiya," and we got PR coverage. And then what we did was even more interesting. We took this video and we got sales teams of various parts of the country ask us for it. We lip-synced it. We translated the language. We got Manoj Bajpayee to speak in 14 different languages and we sent it across, and all this was without a studio or any post-editing. It was completely done by the digital and graphic team at Tata Soulful. So this is how you could actually take AI and unleash it. So this was one of those examples. So this is what I was talking to you about. So this year we said for Christmas, as always, in the third quarter you don't have budgets, right? And you need to do something about that. But you need to get your sales up because there's a last quarter left. So what we did was we realized that kids if you want to excite them. Now, for example, back in the days, we would put a 30 paisa toy or a 40 paisa toy. Now, in a large company, it's a large supply chain. You have to change the artwork on the front of the pack. You have to put that toy. You have to make sure there's an in and out. So, December ka jo promo hai, March tak land ho jayega, hopefully in market. So that's what we used to see. So we said, how do we make, because there's a lot of volatility in the market. And then to talk about it, we also had a huge GST which hit us, because none of these things come with pre-alarm. So we said, how do we capitalize on December? Because it's big for us. So what we did was, we had done something interesting at the start of the year, which was our financial year. We had put a QR code on our packs. And the QR code was purely to collect FPD data. And we did a campaign in the month of June, July, August, where if you scan the QR code, you could play a game, and we would get your data, and you got a chance to go to Singapore. So one day when we were looking at the pack, we said, how do we, so there's no time to order toy, etc., with all of these changes. So we powered up the same QR code. So what we did was, we said we are going to turn kids into heroes. So we made 3 storylines, which were comic strips. We created this with AI. We trained AI in a way that if a child put their photograph after scanning the QR code, the cartoon would look exactly like that child. We did that training. We create personalized adventures where kids could just, on 2 or 3 commands, add which country they like to go to, what adventure they want to ride on, and where do they, what is their aha moment. Then we had a packed QR code entry via WhatsApp. So we communicated this whole thing with WhatsApp comms. We saw a ROAS of around 10 or 11 through WhatsApp comms, because we already had FPD data of these consumers, because we had tackled them in our back to school campaign. As we speak right now, and we help these kids to create snack time stories. We made a quick video which we slapped on at the end of our regular ad, which we ran on digital, again, which was AI generated. We usually end up making these videos for 5 to 6 lakhs. This video costed us 60,000 rupees. And we ran a digital campaign at a frequency of 6. And we managed to target almost around 70% of those FPD data that we collected. And as we speak right now, we have collected 1.2 million stories. This campaign started at the start of November. We targeted Children's Day. And to have 1.2 million stories for us feels very, very, it's very rewarding. So just to give you a data point, whenever you run any kind of data collection consumer promo, the redemption that you see is, can somebody guess what percentage of QR codes will get scanned on a pack and convert? Can somebody guess as per data? Sorry? 1%. Yes, it is 1%. It's absolutely 1%. And we managed to convert 1.2 million stories, which was again, and of course there would have been a lot of drops, etc. We had lots of kids writing back to us, reaching out to us. So again, it was how we made opportunity out of adversity. But now, going forward, our mandate is going to be all the consumer promos that we do going forward. We are not going to have any outside characters. We're not going to put plastic toys in the packs. We're going to keep it sustainable, and we're going to figure out ways in which how we're going to engage kids better. Along with that, we do a lot of consumer inciting using AI. I'll circulate the deck and you guys can take a look at it. These are more generic things that people end up doing. We used to spend a fair amount of money with large agencies to do consumer inciting, which we don't do anymore, because a lot of this gets created, even if it comes to regional insight mapping, can happen in-house. So more importantly, how did AI actually power us? It helped us with a faster go-to-market with respect to No Maida Rusk, higher efficiency, which you saw in our campaign, which we did for kids in the month of November, December, and a much stronger engagement. We have a lot more brand love. We know who our consumers are. We talk to them. And with all the data that we have, we've managed to collect birth dates of kids, of almost 80,000 children. And the endeavor is every child gets every child on their birthday gives out like few chocolates to their neighbors or kids. So from this January onwards, all the children's data that we have, we're going to be sending them a box of Tata Soulful Ragi Bites. We'll send them a pack of 50, and they can give it to their friends, and this is what makes them feel special. And that's why we're soulful and we're not sinful. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Rasika. And Mr. Gurmeet, while you're here already, please remain on stage, and why don't you deliver the next session, a knowledge session on Quora. Over to you.
How many of you guys invest in the stock market? Wow, thanks. That's quite a bit. So I'm an investor as well, and I always used to wonder, Tata consumer product stock, why is it like kind of going up so much? And there's obviously a story to it. And today we learned all the nuts and bolts of it. Thank you, Rasika. It was so informative, so informative. It is truly, truly amazing. We also saw that while Rasika represented consumer products, there was Neha from a startup which is empowering women, which is a completely different segment. The set of learnings there are completely different. And before that, we had Aditi from Cash Free, which is the financial services segment. Again, a completely different sector and completely different learnings on how they are kind of leveraging AI. So that was the purpose of Quoraverse, that we have people from various industries and we kind of get to learn from them as to how are they leveraging AI in their respective companies. I'll spend a few minutes on what Quora is kind of doing in this segment. What is the change when Quora started 16 years ago in 2009 with the best possible SEO which we've kind of seen, and what is the status as of now? How is search evolving, and how is kind of Quora doing in this new scenario? Okay, so let's talk about Search 2.0. So what exactly is Search 2.0? Search 2.0, like I mentioned a little earlier during the evening, is where search engines are transforming themselves into answer engines. And who is feeding these answering engines? Who is feeding the LLMs? And we'll spend the next 2 minutes kind of having some stats and some context to that. SEMrush, how many of you have heard of SEMrush? Okay, thank you. That's great. So you'll understand the importance of this report even more. SEMrush is like the Bible on Google, and its insights are widely respected across the industry. So SEMrush did a research where it came up with what are the sites that are feeding the LLMs, and we realized that Quora is the #1 site. This is obviously global data, feeding AI overviews. So when we search on Google, earlier you used to get all the links, right? Now we get an overview. And if you want to read further, you can go down and see the links, or every paragraph has a link as well, right? So the #1 source for Google AI overviews globally is Quora. So that's the big thing. Next to all, which is on Google search, you also have AI mode, which is effectively Gemini. On Gemini, which is AI mode, Quora is at #4. So it is hugely feeding the LLMs, and that's how the transformation has happened of a platform which was hugely SEO optimized to something which of course continues to be SEO optimized, but also is feeding the LLMs, and that's where I think brands can benefit by being on Quora. AI system, when AI started, when we first saw ChatGPT, we used to wonder where is the information coming from. So now we know that the information is coming from a lot of sites and a lot of trusted human sources. And Quora is one of them. The SEMrush report which I talked about is a huge sample size. As you can see, it is 278,000 prompts which they kind of raised, of which 26,000 plus, of course, showed up on Quora being the source. So that's a little about the research. So what do we learn from this? The change from the earlier SEO world is the earlier SEO world was very keyword driven. So now the new AI world is a little more broad. It is more topic driven, which kind of goes well with Quora because it is a completely topic and phrase driven platform. So it sits very beautifully between search and social, and that's kind of worked to its advantage. Second thing is engagement drives visibility. So it's not that AI or the LLMs are just picking whatever is available. Within, let's say, platforms, they pick up content which is more engaging. How do you find content which is more engaging? Depending on the likes or depending on comments. So within Quora, we found that questions that have 17 or more answers are more likely to be picked up by LLMs than anything else. So it is important that we write content which is more engaging. If you're writing on Quora, how do you get more and more people to kind of, answer on that, engage on that? So that is another second learning which kind of came up. And the third one is AI is blending answers and not code. It doesn't pick up as is and kind of gives it to you, right? So it blends answers and gives it to you. So the more data oriented you can be, the more facts you can provide in your answer, then it picks up as is and kind of, the likelihood of you showing up in the form you want is, more likely. This is a little more detail on this. We can, we've spoken about it, so I'll skip this. In terms of users, we have 400 million users globally. Temporarily, it kind of went down with, AI kind of coming in, but it's back to that number now globally, of which 100 million plus is in India alone, so which kind of makes it a very, very important, market for Quora as well. So these are some best practices on Quora, which I will, allow my team to kind of engage with you, and we can send this off to you offline. That's the team which we have handling Bangalore. So we have a team of 4 people handling Bangalore. And yeah, these are the people. Most of them are out here. Feel free to kind of meet them, engage with them. How else does Quora leverage AI? So one, of course, is what we spoke about, how it kind of is feeding the LLMs. But does Quora leverage AI on its own as well? Like internally, do we leverage AI? The answer is yes. And how do we do that? AI, as we know, and we saw Aditi's presentation as well, that the 2 main forms of AI are, one is generative AI, where you generate content, images, videos. And the other thing is agentic AI, where agents kind of give you an end-to-end solution. So how does Quora leverage both Gen AI as well as agentic AI? First of all, we leverage AI for content moderation. While it was always being done by ML in some form or the other, and later on LLMs, but now it is completely gone to the next level. So our content moderation is done by AI, and if there is a downvote or if there is an escalation, it obviously goes to human moderators. We also have ads moderation done by AI now. So what happens is every creative gets an ad quality score from 1 to 4. So a score of 4 is supposed to be very good, and a score of 1 is supposed to be less. So what we do is, since Quora is an RTB model, real-time bidding model, we raise the bids for creatives with a score of 1. And similarly, the bids are kind of lowered for creatives with a bid of 4. So what does that mean? That as a user, they get to see better quality creatives, better quality ads. So that's another thing where we leverage AI in terms of agentic AI. The other thing which we leverage is for ads auto bidding. So that's again the bidding process, which is a continuous process of improvement, and we kind of continue to improve that so that we are able to give better and better ROI to our clients. Auto targeting, again, the same thing, so that you get better ROI. And asking better questions. So what is the way to get good answers anywhere, person to person or on Quora, is to ask the right questions or better questions. So we've got something called a interview asker. So what happens is AI interview, sorry. So in AI interview, every person has a, a different AI interview. So let's say you log into your Quora account. So Quora knows, let's say you are interested in deep tech. So it will ask you questions, if you would like to answer questions on deep tech, and it will throw up some really good questions. And if you answer them, so obviously you're improving the quality of content on Quora. So we use generative AI to ask better questions so that we have better answers on Quora. So these are a few ways in which we are leveraging AI internally as well, apart from, of course, being a source to the LLMs. So that's pretty much from our side. So it's a big change from what things were earlier to now. And I'm glad we kind of doing well on that. We also have a second app called Po, which is like a universe of AI bots. All the bots you can think of, from OpenAI bots to Anthropic to Google, Meta, DeepSeek, under one single subscription. So that's also kind of doing well. And so that way, Quora is on the forefront of AI. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Gurmeet, for your session, a truly insightful one. Thank you so much. Well, ladies and gentlemen, it's now time to move from all that learning to some fun. So let's spice things up and let's energize the audience once again. I bring to you a quiz. Now, this quiz is done digitally, and I will tell you how. We are soon going to have a scan code that's going to appear right here on the screen. Let's have the scan code, please, and then I will tell you what we're going to do next. So take out your phones. These questions will pop on your phones. Answers will be, the options also will be on your phones, and you will have to answer through your phones. Now that's your scan code. Thanks to Kahoot. 22 quick questions and 2 things to do. Firstly, we're going to pick 3 winners. That's right. We're going to award top 3 winners. And these awards, I'm sure most of you will get your answers right. So what we're looking here for is fastest finger first, right? So those of you who can answer correctly the fastest, we will also have a scoreboard here. And if you're on the top of the scoreboard, consistently, of course, it marks you as a winner. So top 3 winners, and let's get this game started. Are we ready? A louder yes if you are. Okay, thank you so much. That's your scan code. We'll wait until we have everyone scan this. Enter into our quiz room with your real names, please, so it's easy and helpful for us to identify you. Please put in your real names. Anybody who's still on their way to enter this room? Okay, we'll wait. So remember, real names, fastest finger first. Stay on the top, and let's find those 3 top winners. Simple, quick questions. 22 questions coming your way. Are we done? Are we ready? Anybody else still pending? Okay. We'll wait. We can also see how many have joined us. 46 of you. I'm sure there are a few more. Okay. Now, is anybody else pending? Ready? Good to go? Yes? Okay. Now we are ready. Okay, so let's get that started. 22 questions coming your way on Kahoot 360. Here we begin. Get ready, get those fingers working. Your first question: when was Quora founded and made available to the public? I can hear it, I can hear it. 20 seconds is what you get. But the key is to answer the fastest in the least number of seconds. And the answer is 2009 and 2011. There were 2 questions in one. We now move quickly to the second question. Oh, that's the scoreboard. Chetan on top. We have 5 of you. Let's see if that remains for the second question. Which country contributes a significant portion of Quora's global traffic after the USA? And once all of you have answered, automatically the answer will pop, which is India. India's the right answer. And let's see how many of you got that correctly. Chetan has gone down. Pradnya on top. Okay, a little bit of change. But more so the names remain the same. What best describes the audience on Quora? And those are 4 options. Read them carefully. Lots of clicks I can hear. 45 answers, and here we are with the correct answer. Knowledge seekers. Okay. A little bit of a change. Okay. All right. We have more questions to go. Which of these is a part of Quora ad targeting? All of these. Let's see if there's a change in the scoreboard. There is hardly any change. Rave still remains on top. How many ad formats does Quora have? Very simple. There we go. 4 ad formats. I can hear a lot of movement. Okay, moving quickly to the scoreboard. Has that changed? Matt's on top now. We've lost Rave. Okay. What type of ad campaign objectives are available on Quora? And one more. Okay. All of them. Is there a change? Slight change. Balaji's gotten lucky, and let's see, where can advertisers set a daily or lifetime spending limit on the Quora platform? On what level? And here we go. One more. Yeah, on a campaign level. And let's see, is there a change now? How many have we lost? How many new names? Okay, we'll come to that next. What is the name of the AI product or tool created by Quora? You guys are quick. Oh, quite a lot of change. Okay. More questions coming your way. Do not worry. We can still get your name on the scoreboard. Which of these below is the unique ad format available on Quora? There's your answer. And the scoreboard more so remains the same. Moving on. Can brands hyperlink their websites within promoted answers? That's a hyperlink question. Let's see if your name is hyperlinked on that scoreboard. That was close. Okay. There's competition between the first two. Which ad format on Quora is best suited for thought leadership and credibility building? One more. Tap it. There we go. Okay. Which of the following is a part of contextual targeting? Who's back? Oh, Matt still remains on top. Quick. We move to the next question. Which of the following can we track on Quora video ads? Wow, you guys are quick. That's a streak. Okay, what is the recommended length of a promoted answer on Quora to optimize reader engagement? Your options are here. Oh, that's a nice streak for Matt. All right, the next question. What makes promoted answers unique compared to standard ads on Quora? Fifth time in a row, Matt. What is the primary placement for Quora video ads? Wow. Okay. 6 more questions to go. You can still get your name on that scoreboard. Which of these is a best practice for writing in Quora? No way. Redemption time. Come on, guys. What is the maximum number of characters allowed in a Quora question title? Those answers are coming in quick. One more. We've hardly given you time, so you can't Google. There you go. Great work, Matt. You can still redeem yourselves. What is one of Quora's biggest strengths as an advertising platform? Somebody's got to beat Matt. Okay, a true or false one. This should be easy. Double points. This is redemption time. Come on. AI depends on trusted human resources. Last 3 questions brings you double points. So that's redemption for you. According to SEMrush's latest AI study, which website was cited most frequently in Google's AI overviews? Well, that was quick. Okay. Because obviously, it's Quora. One last question. Redeem yourself. Beat Matt. How does Quora use AI to power better experiences? And here are the winners. The winners, here they are. Of course, Matt on top, Misbah and Suraj. Congratulations to the winners. Well, like I said, you will be awarded. And here are gorgeous ladies from Quora, Sunaina and Tina. Firstly, give it up for them, please. I'm sure you guys can do much better. Come on. Thank you. All right, so let's get these winners on stage. I'm curious to know who these faces are. We'll start with winner number 3. Let's call on stage Mr. Suraj. With a loud round of applause, let's get Suraj on stage. Congratulations, Suraj. Congratulations, and let's call winner number 2. I'm curious to know who Misbah is. Let's call Miss Misbah on stage. A loud round of applause for the gorgeous lady. Congratulations. That was quite a tough fight to Matt. But now let's see who Mr. Matt is. And there he is. Fastest finger first. Congratulations, Mr. Matt, on that streak and on winning the Quora quiz. So that was important for all of you to know. We put your brains to work, we put your feet to work, and now we put your fingers to work. You did a good job. Thank you so much for being here, Mr. Matt, and congratulations. Thank you, Sunana. Thank you, Tina, for being here on stage as well. And that now, ladies and gentlemen, brings us to our next segment. And I would like to call on stage our 4th speaker on stage today. Ladies and gentlemen, please join me in welcoming Mr. Madhur Gopal Seth from Manipal Hospitals. A loud round of applause, please.
AI in healthcare. So while I was making this presentation, I thought that which is the first brand, which I remember who was most famous for this particular, AI thing. And this came to my mind. It was around 2 years back. This kind of viraled everywhere. And that was the time when, I think many of us would have gone to Microsoft offices and various other offices to see how AI can be implemented in all our companies. And this is something which was released in July 2025. Roughly 2 years later, China has built the world's first AI hospital. Well, today, in next 10 minutes, I'll be talking to you how healthcare is using AI in marketing largely. Even before I go there, many times I have to explain that healthcare also has marketing as a department. And these department people do some work sitting over there. So because many, they don't know, what's marketing doing really. And for that reason, I thought I'll have some use cases so that we can have some context how marketing is used in healthcare. Before I jump in there, let me kind of set some ideation around healthcare. Healthcare has various categories. If you really see, wellness is one, which we all know, Fitbit kind of, industry. There is something preventive. Preventive is, if you think of a hypertensive patient or a diabetic patient, or people who are taking care of themselves by doing regular health checks and all that stuff, where some action is happening, right, with the medication, with the healthcare. This is preventive healthcare. And illness is another category where Manipal Hospital is, or any tertiary care brand, anyone falls sick, come to me, we kind of take care of you, right? We treat you basically. And then post that, there is a recovery, which is post-hospital discharge. People go back to their normal life, they recover, and then they go back to their wellness journey. Now, if you really see, illness is the core healthcare where we belong to, but preventive is one category which is emerging category. This is because of the technologies in place. Many healthcare institutions are actually getting into this space. Maybe post-COVID, there is a huge interest and there is a spike in the number of people who are kind of engaging to take care of their health, right? So I'll be talking largely in these two. One is in healthcare, core healthcare, what few things we have done, and given the time, I have chosen only few examples, and in preventive, what we are doing. So before I go there, let's understand, right, what are the patient challenges when it comes to healthcare? Just imagine if you, for anyone, would have gone to hospital in the last 1 year. I think you will resemble in many, with many of these. When someone goes to hospital, there are unclear pathways. They don't know, where to go. Once doctor tells something, then how to go to that department, what to expect from this department. It's fragmented system, right? So, from OP to IP to OPD to pharmacy, it's all fragmented. There is no single user journey which is there. There's low coordination because majority healthcare, we work in silos. From one department to another department, there is no one person who's taking you to all the departments. So each silo is a different silo. And there is anxiety and misinformation. Healthcare is one category where people don't know what they are getting into, what they are buying in, right? And that's where this whole anxiety, because when someone is sick, each second, seems to be like 1 hour to them. And that's a time, how we can utilize these technologies, this communication, is what the thought was, which I'll be presenting. And also overall healthcare industry as an industry is more reactive, right? When you fall sick, we treat you. We don't tell you that how not to fall sick, right? So what are we solving? So one is anxiety, which I told you. We are reducing anxiety by giving procedure information. For example, and we have done this around 50 procedures. Someone is going for CT. Patient doesn't know what they are going to expect, right? If there's a diabetic patient, especially if they are on metformin, they may not even know I have to inform this. When they get into CT, room is much colder than the normal, room. You should not carry jewelry, hairpins. It is preferred to go in, comfortable clothing when you are going for CT. Now, these are the information people don't know, right? They just get to know when they go in there, they are already anxious, and this whole thing add to their, those anxiety. And that's what we try to do, that any patient who is advised for this procedure, if they are coming, they are pre-informed what you can expect before coming, what you can expect when you are on the table, what to carry, what not to carry. And this is actually helping many of the people to improve their experience when they are getting into the hospital. There is something which is, we are doing personalized information. We have implemented CDP platform, which is customer data platform, which helps us to know what customer is, what they are looking. It's a maturing. And basis that, we are customizing the information which is going to the patient. It's not a generic, if I tell, diabetic patient, don't eat sweet, that everyone know, no one follows. But if we customize that information basis on the vitals which is available, the likelihood to act on that messaging is much more higher. So, that's what we are trying to do with this. There is something which we have recently launched, my health chatbot. There is something, when there are a lot of queries, people get into Google, any symptom for that matter, on Google search, it will result as a cancer, right? So now that is where we wanted to, give the right information to the patient. Anyone can try this bot number I have written. The accuracy of this bot is amazing. This we work with a company, but what they have done is for at least 20 symptoms, or medical conditions, they have worked with our doctors to customize that information, which is very, very accurate, and the effort on this is really to triage the patient to the right, place. Then we have, I think this is, my favorite. What we are trying to do with this whole thing on CDP, we are building these proactive and predictive modeling. I think this whole healthcare, can we move from being reactive to proactive? Today, we all, as hospitals, we claim that our mortality rate is only this much. We have saved so many lives. But can we start claiming that we have prevented so many heart attacks to happen? patient need not to come to hospital at all. And that's where healthcare is moving to, maybe 7, 8 years down the line, is what we would like to really go ahead and see. Two areas we have already started our work. It takes time because there is a adoption, there is what we need to see how customers are really adopting to it, and there are a lot of vitals which are required around that. Another initiative which I would like to share with you is beyond Manipal walls, right? So thought came in that this is what we are doing for the patient, but for the society, can we do something? And as a hospital, we do also have sales people. We actually go and meet referral doctors. So these doctors are GPs. What they cannot treat, they have to refer somewhere, right? So, but if you really see, there are a lot of Unani doctors, BAMS doctors. They may need a lot of help on improving the, the recommendation to the patient or in terms of diagnosis. This is where we have launched this bot. Any doctor who are using our bot, if they have any, once they diagnose and all that, once they put in the data, the bot can help them that what are the right next steps, what are the additional tests they should be doing. The idea is really that can we improve the first level of diagnosis itself? We all know today mortality in oncology is not because we can't treat it, because we get to know at a stage 3A or 3B or 4, right? So can we improve those things? So the entire effort is going in there with a large number of doctors who can start using this. This is another example of AI piece. In preventive, while I was writing, I was thinking, it's reverse from a healthcare, right? In healthcare, people have to come. Once they are sick, they have to go to hospital. What we really do is, can they choose our brand versus any other brand? This category is very different. When we talk preventive, adult vaccination, we all know is important. But sitting in this room, we all are adults. I don't know how many people are getting vaccinated every year, right? So that's the awareness lack. And what can we learn from the newborn babies, right? Newborn babies, they go for regular vaccination. Whether their parents are pushing, whoever is taking care, but it is critical. They are taking care of diet, they are taking care of regular checks. And basis on this, what we started doing, I'm not getting into details because I think, we have heard also in past presentation, look-alike modeling. Now this is coming from our CDP. We know patients who are in, who are the people who should be going for these kind of preventive programs, and that's what we are targeting on social media and other platform using lookalike modeling. There is predictive demand modeling. This what we are trying to do is there are all these seasonal illnesses which comes. How we can go ahead and proactively communicate on seasonal illnesses basically. And then there are lead nurture programs. Once the customer, we know that there is someone who is interested, say, for example, in vaccination, how do we continue to educate them? Because people don't take action. There is no emergency in these scenarios. So we kind of nurture over a period of time with education. And so these are some of the examples. My time is also up, so thank you so much. The last slide is there. I'll just quickly finish this. Is it cost effective? AI also, once we start implementing, at least in my experience, though the data is very less as of now, but we need to know what is the cost involved and how it is going to benefit in the overall marketing scenario. So sometimes it's not cheap, by the way. So we really need to see how we are going to utilize this. And data insight is one area which definitely it kind of helps, and we should be using AI for those things. It really helps in decision-making, scenarios. So thank you.
And the last leg of Quoraverse 2025. And these are the E4M Quoraverse Awards, where we are celebrating brands that brought the most impactful, ingenious, and inspiring campaigns this year. So let's now honor the brands and the visionaries who pushed boundaries, who have shown what creativity and data together can achieve. To give out these awards, firstly, I'd like to request on stage the presence of Miss Pooja Roy, Business Head South for Quora. Please welcome the lovely lady with a loud round of applause. And also, once again, calling on stage Mr. Gurmeet to join Miss Pooja and give out these awards and honor these brands. Once again, a loud round of applause for Mr. Gurmeet as well. Thank you so much for being here on stage. And let's now get on to calling out the first award winner. First up on the list, put your hands together for Manipal Hospitals. Next winning brand is Alliance University. Congratulations. Moving to our next award winner is Tanera. Loud round of applause, please. Congratulations. And up next we have Flipkart. Up next, we have Lenovo. And last but not the least, Amazon Seller. Thank you so much, Mr. Gurmeet and Pooja, for doing the honors. Mr. Gurmeet, I'll request you to please kindly take your seat. And with that, I would request Ms. Pooja, our business head, South for Quora, to deliver the vote of thanks.
All right, I think we've had like a wonderful evening today. As we wrap up Quoraverse 2025, I would like to thank each and every one of you for being here, for taking out the time for a Friday. Especially our brand partners, our event partner, and my incredible Quora team. You know, your presence and engagement have made today truly special. As we wrap up, I'd like to leave you with some thoughts. You know, at Quora, we always believe in the power of intent and credible knowledge. And it's so inspiring to see how brands here have been embracing this, especially in a world that's rapidly shaped by AI and constantly evolving user behavior. I am genuinely excited about the possibilities we can unlock together and about making your brands thrive on Quora. with that, once again, thank you so much for being here and enjoy the rest of the evening. Thank you.
Thank you, Pooja, for those wonderful words. And with that, ladies and gentlemen, we officially conclude Quoraverse 2025. We hope that tonight sparked new ideas, connections, and opportunities for everybody here. But before we head out, I would like to request all the award winners to kindly join us on stage for a group photograph. Could we please have all the award winners join us back on stage? Of course, with your awards. Let's get that memorable photograph clicked.